Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session about managing projects with precision using the project management module in SAP Business One. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, everyone. Actually, good. How is everyone today?
Good afternoon, sorry. Yeah, now it's good afternoon for everyone, I think. So, so yes, I'm sorry. I get stuck in the good mornings regularly. Robert, I wanted to thank you for your hard work for preparing this session, which is, I want our customers who are connected to know that this session is really like a masterclass, and it's actually only part one. Because the project management module is very comprehensive in SAP Business One, and also because Robert has done a very detailed overview of every step, of every possibility, and how you can use it. So really a valuable session if you are thinking about managing your projects with SAP Business One. And today we're going to see a lot of the functionality. Robert was able to cover a lot of the functionality, and we have already ready for you part two, where he will go over specifically how to build projects based on sales orders, how the project reports that you can obtain, and how to track and manage open project issues. All those contents will be part of the part two of this webinar, which is going to be live in October. And on the chat of this Zoom meeting, you're going to see a link right now. Thank you, Marcelo, for that. You can click on that link and register for that session in October. We'll be promoting this session afterwards as well. But if you're here, it means that you are interested in the project management module in SAP Business One, and we want you to know that this is only part one and that you'll get all these other functionalities reviewed by Robert on October. And also on that part two session, he will be wrapping up everything that he's going to share today and on part two of this webinar. So Robert, you've been using SAP Business One for many years. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself for those customers who don't know you?
Sure thing. So I've been a consultant for over 17 years now. Actually, I started with the product before it even introduced the project management module. Back in the day, we had to do a lot more things to try to keep track of projects. But now, with the new version, and this was introduced back in 9.3, now we have a fully fledged project management module. So it's been quite a ride, I can say. Been involved in many projects, help a lot of people. So it's always, it's always thrilled to be here and try to, I always enjoy sharing knowledge. So
Yes,
for me,
yes,
that's
we can tell, Robert, your webinars and presentations are fantastic. Robert is very passionate. He's also in high demand. So all the more we want to thank you for your time, for taking the time to prepare this, which is a gift to you, to all our customers. And we want you to take advantage of it. So please share it with the rest of the users that you know that might, want to take advantage of this module. You're in for a treat. Thank you, Robert, very much. We ask that you rate this session as we ask that you rate all our sessions. We want to improve for you. This session was prepared because many of you were requesting training on project management modules. So that's why we created this content. Always send your ideas as well. You know that we're open for your ideas, and your feedback is what makes us be better every day. All your microphones are muted. You can ask questions using the Q&A, and Robert will get to those questions at the end of this session. We are now turning our cameras off, Robert, so that we can concentrate on the content, and we'll see you right after. Thank you all.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to be learning about the project management module in SAP Business One. The first thing we're going to learn is how to activate the project management module, since this module comes disabled by default. So the first thing we need to do is to locate our hamburger icon, click and open the main menu, select Administration, System Initialization, then Company Details. In the third tab, Basic Initialization, we will find our Enable Project Management checkbox. Once you check this option and you start using the module, this option becomes an irreversible option in SAP. We can see this by the grayed out color. Now that we have enabled the project management module, let's go to the main menu. And right below Human Resources, we will find our new folder for project management. Click, and inside that folder, you will find Project and Billing Document Generation Wizard. The first option is the one that we're going to start with, and that's going to be our project main window. So in the project management module, the project window is considered a master data window for a project and is a workbench. This screen centralizes all the different aspects of the project and enables us to document all the different stages in a project and all the different documents that are related to those stages. So this is where we do our planning. Each of those stages that are part of a project needs to be defined with a progress percentage. And that progress percentage will eventually add up to 100%. We can see that percentage moving forward right here in a percentage complete area of the screen. Now, each stage may contain data that is relevant for the project. So that data allows us to analyze project value, cost, and profit. So for this webinar, we're going to be using an example based on a fictitious company, OEC Computers. And we're going to be executing our project for Maxitech, one of OEC Computers' customers. So we are going to put on the shoes of a project manager working for OEC Computers. Before moving in, we have to understand that for project master data, each stage is important because we can reference different types of data to each of those stages that we define in a project. So the data that we can reference can be production orders, service, calls, activities, marketing documents, and inventory documents. So the project master data forms one entry point for both financial and logistics data. So that is a very important thing to keep in mind before moving forward with our project. And the last thing that I want to mention before executing the process and looking at all the options that we have from a project management perspective is the project management output, because we do have outputs that can be generated by project management master data, and those are the project management reports, the Gantt chart, and the billing document generation wizard that we are going to be looking at those during our training. So we do have inputs and outputs, and the inputs are the documents. Outputs are of different kinds. We're going to be looking at all of those during this webinar. So this is our project, is the project that we are executing as the project manager. So we started by getting the brief from management. They told us the project, the budget. So we went in and we created the project base for, or the project master data for that Maxitech project. So the first things that I did is I created a project of external type. Then I went in and selected MaxiTech for my business partner. I added the sales employee who sold the project, the owner of the project, in this case, myself. Then you can see that there is no sub-project because this is a very straightforward project, no need or no requirement for sub-project whatsoever. Then I named the project. So this is an infrastructure planning and installation. So whatever I put in the project name will be displayed here exactly where we select the project. So we can see that this is an infrastructure planning and installation for MaxiTech. Status of the project, already started. Start date, 1st of September. End date, last day of September. Finish date will be automatically populated once we finish the project. Open activities, we already have one. Then we have a percentage complete of 0 and our financial project. I just want to briefly mention that I sent a message to accounting once the sales team sent me the information for MaxiTech's project. I went in and sent a request in this case for a financial project to accounting. Once they sent me the financial project, I selected it from a list, and here we have our financial project related to this particular project. This is a mandatory step and normally is done by accounting. So after that, I enter the risk level, the industry. We can have, actually I predefined some of them, and you can add as many as you need. Just clicking on define new, there is a list of industries. Then we have the comments, the small short comments about the project. This is an infrastructure planning and installation, providing computer hardware, etc., etc. So you can add as much information as you need in your comments. We have, let me just double check this for you, 256,000 characters we can add right here in the comments. After that, I went in and defined all the stages for the project. Now, there might be cases in which we don't define the stages up front, but in this case, I have a predefined template for these projects. So I just went in and followed along and created the different stages because those projects are common for our business. So we can see that I have various stages with different tasks. So I have some stages that are repeated, but for different tasks. I can also click here and see that I have 5 predefined stages. Now, if I needed more, I can just go to modules, administration, go to setup, and go to project management. So in setup, project management, I see stages. Inside stages, I can either modify the ones that come predefined once we enable the project management module, because this first 5 are going to be automatically defined by SAP once we enable the module. But we can come in and modify those if that is required, or we can add as many as we need. There is no limit to the amount of stages that we can have here. Right now, I left the 5 standard ones, and then I started adding my tasks. So each stage, right, each line in a project structure, each row that we have here, can have a stage and a task. So when we have more than one task per stage, that is why we have different rows adding the same stage. So in this case, I can create, again, as many tasks as required. There is no limit. So I have a conception initiation stage with configuration task. I have a description. This is for scoping, roles, and timeline. And I have a unique ID. Now, everything that I built in a project needs to have a start date and an end date, not just the project. Each stage requires a start date and a due date. Now, every single document that we want to relate to the project particular stage / task needs to be in this date range. If we try to do, or if we try to add or link a document that it's outside this time frame for this row, we will receive an error. Now, unique IDs are very important, and we will see why in a short while. But keep in mind that each stage / task combination requires a unique ID. Then a planned cost is recommended but not required. Why it's recommended is because all the planned costs that I add here will sum up at the summary tab. So we will see that in a short while. Then I have the execution right here. Execution of documents that generate AR and AP balances. So we have the invoiced amount in AR, the open amount in AR, the invoice amount in AP, and the open amount in AP. All of those columns are disabled because those are driven by the documents that we generate within each of the stages / tasks that we have here. Then we add a percentage of closure. So we have to add this stage, for instance, adds 5%. So if I click on finish, because I have to do this, I have to click on finish and I update my project, I can see now that I have 5% right here. So one important thing to note is that as soon as I click on finish and I update, it's not just the percentage complete that updates, but also my finish date. So if I have a finish date, the system will copy the finish date on the day that I closed the row, in this case, the stage. I can uncheck finished and update again. If I do that, the system will reopen the row for me, but please keep in mind that it will not delete the finish date. We are going to reopen this, and as we can see, the percentage complete is back to 0. Now let's start executing our project. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is that we informed our purchasing department that we needed to pay for a catering service for the scope, roles, and timeline meeting that we want to have for the initial conception. So this is a configuration task. We are going to be scoping, adding roles and timelines, and then planning for the kickoff. So there is going to be an activity that I'm going to link here that is going to allow me to do that scheduling and invite the people that I need. So we have 5 days to complete this task. So I'm going to add one of the activities by clicking on the row first, then going into activities, and I'm going to add that required meeting. It's going to be a meeting. It's going to be inside is going to be priority normal. The meeting location is the office conference room, and this is for initial project definitions. So I can add this to myself, or I can use the setup that I have here for multiple recipients. So if I have a group already defined, I can go ahead and add the recipient field. In this case, I don't have recipients list, so I'm going to add a couple of my employees here, fellow employees, and I'm going to add them as part of this invitation for that planning. I'm going to add a reminder, but I want to be able to, and I need to make sure that my start time and end time are correct. They need to be inside this time frame. This meeting is going to be 2 hours long, so I'm going to change this to 2 hours. And the system calculates that automatically for me. So I'm going to start this at 10. and I want it to be from 10 to 12. So the system is automatically helping with a lot of the things. So this is just, I can add, for instance, for content project planning session. And I'll create this right away. So now I have an activity that it's added to my CRM. It's added to my calendar, and everything is right here. So if I update, it's part now of the activities that I generated for this row. So if I click on the row again, I can see my activity. I can see the start time and end time, and I can go into my calendar. And now I can see that for this week, I have my initial project definitions, a 2-hour session, and I already invited the required personnel. Now the project has been moving along quite nicely. We already finished the first two stages, and we can see that the percentage complete is up to 15%. Now, the gap analysis process, or in this case, the gap analysis stage, has already been done. We are going to review it because I want to make sure everything is correct before closing that stage. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the row, and I'm going to go to documents to review the documents that are related to this stage. I see that I have a purchase order and an AP invoice. This most likely is for a catering service because we've been having meetings and we have been ordering catering for those meetings. Now, I also make sure that my chargeable checkbox is selected for the documents that I want to charge back to my customer. So this is how I make the system know that I want to charge back that value to my customer. Now, I also want to check on a timesheet that I created for this gap analysis process because we contracted an external consultant. So I'm going to modules, human resources, and see the timesheets that have been created. And I go to the last one and I can see that I already added this. So it's for an external consultant. The time and date needs to be inside again with the time frame. So we have that executed on the 10th of September. It was from 7 to 11. And we have the type sheet activity type on as consulting. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to define in a timesheet. So the first thing is the timesheet activity type, and that links back to the labor item for this to be able to be charged back to the customer. Where we set up this is in modules administration, setup, and then we go to setup, then we go to the human resources, and then we have inside human resources, we have timesheets, and inside timesheets, we have the timesheet activity types. So in my role as the PM or project manager, I created the activities that we're going to be requiring. In this case, is just one, consulting. And I added a labor type item, and I checked this activity to be chargeable to the customer. So if I click on the labor item, this is a pretty straightforward labor item that was created for the service labor charge. As soon as I add the timesheet, I'm ready. So I can see that my stage moved along quite nicely. So now I just need to check on this checkbox for finished and make sure that the date aligns with the closing date, and then just update, and that will move my project further to 25%. Now, let's go ahead and start our first billing. Now, we are 25% completed, and we are ready to do our first billing. Note that our first three stages are closed. That has added up to 25% completed percentage. And now we are going to be billing. Now, what we're going to be billing is all the different documents, right? And
timesheets, and maybe even activities if you wanted to from all the previous stages. Now, in order to do that, we need to right click on a project and select the billing document generation wizard. But here is an advanced tip. Normally we can do this, right? Click on the billing document generation wizard. And what is the billing document generation wizard? It is the tool that will allow us to create multiple invoices based on all the billable components that we have in the project. Note, we have to define those chargeable, what is charged back or what will be charged back to our customer. So in this case, if I click on the document generation wizard from here, well, it will open the screen and then we can move forward with it. And it's easy enough. But note that without explaining the screen, because I will do so in just a bit, you can see that there is no stage or sub-project or anything already selected for us. And that is because the tip that I want to give you, because normally what we should do is not just right click and do all the setups, let's say manually, but we can select the stage first. So in this case, I know that I have a billing stage, so I'm going to click on it. Once I click on it, I will right click and do the billing document generation wizard. If you ask me, can I just right click? Yes, you can. But in this case, I'm going to do things in those two steps. So I will click on and then billing document generation wizard. Now, what is the document generation wizard by definition? So it's a wizard that will collect all the open documents and billable project information. So what is billable? Can be activities, can be timesheets, can be all of those. So what are the sources? AP invoices, AR quotations, AR sales orders, AR deliveries, closed work orders. Work orders are production orders, closed activities or meetings, timesheets, and even service calls. So it's a very, very powerful tool that we have at our disposal to be able to charge different concepts back to the customer. How do we move forward here? So I'm going to click next. And let me explain the screen. It's very, very easy to understand. First, target document. What options do we have? We have deliveries and we have AR invoices. We do have another thing here that we can change, and it's the target document series. If we have multiple series for AR invoices, we have to pick the right series that we're going to be using. We do have a target document type. In this case, it's already pre-selected for us as items, and we have the customer also pre-selected for us. Since we clicked on the right stage, the system already knows what stage we are billing with. It tells me the project number, and also the financial project is brought in automatically. Now, there's two important things here, and it's first the dates. So are we filtering what we're going to be billing back? Do we have the right posting date from and to that we want to use? If I leave those blank, as I'm going to do right now, there is no filtering dates. It will just go in and see all open documents for us, and we can go ahead and execute. Now, what is truly important is not that all of the things that I just mentioned are not important, but what is truly, truly important is what are the sources of documents? What are the sources types that we're going to be, or the source types that we're going to be using to charge back? In this case, I'm just going to be using two of them. I will first include the AP documents, and then I will include the recorded times, in this case, the time sheets. Now I can include production orders, I can include activities if I want to, and I can include open AR documents. Once I have all my filters selected, I will click next. And this will bring me to the screen where I have to confirm. Now, everything here, it's already brought in from the documents that we are moving forward to the billing. All of those concepts that we see here in the screen will allow us to generate that document. There are some things that have different dates. In this case, I will select what I want to bill back to my customer in this case, and I'm going to be selective. because I want to show you that you don't have to confirm everything. You can leave some things out. Maybe some things you don't want to charge back at that moment, but you want to do that later. So in this case, I can also, right after I confirm by just clicking on this checkbox, I can also change the quantities if I see or if I think that is the right thing to do. I can just modify this at the time of the billing creation. If I think I'm good with this, I just have to confirm what I want to charge back. I will finish, pay no attention to the credit limit. That is just a situation with this test environment that we're using. And now, as OEC Computers PM, and we are moving this forward to charge back our customer because we are 25% in, and in our contract, it says clearly that we're going to be charging the first billable items once we reach 25%. Note, the system brings in everything that is required. It brings all the services, the catering services, the hourly service labor charge. It brings everything that we need. It's ready. And once we are certain that this needs to move forward, we just have to add and view, and that will send this right to our AR. And once we create this, if we go back to our project, this is the status. So documents proposal generated. This is the document. You can see that the AR document was added successfully. We successfully added that AR invoice. And if I click on my number 4 stage, I can go down and I go to my documents and I can see my AR and I can open it at any point in time. And I can see that I have that already created for me. So today we're back at it. We are moving forward with the project. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to view my project overview report by right-clicking and clicking on project overview. So I see that I have a couple of stages that are closed 100%. Some of them had some activities. And then I have my next stage here, the purchasing and assembly for the launch and execution stage. So that's the task that I have to start working on. Now, I know for a fact that I need to change this due date because the assembly team that works in the shop floor, they told me that 2 days is not enough. So we need to push this to the 20th. Now I can come in and do it from here, right? I can come in and just change the date. But I can also use another tool that I have at my disposal, and that is the Gantt chart, because the Gantt chart is the graphical representation of the project. So standard-wise, the Gantt chart is shown in weeks. So you can see the months here, August, and then we can see September. We can see all the weeks and we can see all the different stages and how some of the stages have dependencies on others. So for instance, we couldn't start or close the purchasing and assembly or start purchasing and assembly until we close the gap analysis. So the gap analysis is already closed. This linked arrow shows us that those two stages are connected, and so are the configuration with the sign off. Now, if I zoom in by using my zoom tool that I have on the upper right corner, I can see that I changed from a monthly view and weekly view, let's say, to a daily view. So I know that I need to push the purchasing and assembly a couple of days because 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, are not enough. So I have to move this to Saturday. So I just click and drag until I reach the desired date. So again, if I'm here on Thursday or maybe back here on Wednesday, and I need to move this to Saturday, I click on this icon, hold my click, and drag it to the desired date. So this is Saturday. I know we're going to have to push it to Saturday, but that is what the team told me. So I'm going to update this. And as soon as I update this and I go back to the project, the system is showing me this message, right? So
why we have unassigned documents. That's what the system is telling me right now. I'm updating a date, but all of a sudden I get this message. Unassigned documents exist in the system. Now you will see this message every time you have documents that were created in the system that the project that we're working on was selected to be the project assigned to that document, but there were no stage selections. It's a requirement that a project that has a master data project in the system needs to be linked not just to the project, but to a particular stage. Now we're going to revisit this. For now, I'm going to hit no, and I'm going to get back to my project. So you can see that the date for that stage changed from the 17th to the 20th by just using our Gantt chart. So I can access the Gantt chart at any time by right-clicking alongside my project overview. There's a couple more reports that we will look at, but first I want to address the document that is not correctly linked to the project. Now, every time I open the project, that screen will appear until I linked all the documents to the particular stage. That's why we have unique stage IDs. There might be a chance for personnel to forget about those IDs and they just link the project and then we get a message. If I refresh the record, that message will appear again. And you can see here, the system tells me, hey, you have unassigned documents. Do you want to assign them? And I click yes. So if I click yes, the document assignment screen shows up, and now I can assign all documents to a particular stage. I know that all of the documents that we're looking at on screen are for the purchasing and assembly of the server. I know that because I did a research as the PM, right? I asked around my fellow employees, and the purchasing department told me, hey, we created the documents for the purchasing of those parts. We didn't know which stage to assign them to, so we just assigned the project. Now it's our task to assign those documents to the right stage, so it's very simple. What I do is that I can select in between by holding control, or a sequential or a sequence of values, or values that are adjacent to each other by just holding shift and selecting a range of consecutive values. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to click on my purchasing and assembly stage. I click here. I know they need to be here. So I'm going to use my assign document button to bring them in to the purchasing and assembly. I can also unassign documents if I made mistakes, but in this case, I'm pretty sure those need to be here. So I'm just going to add them and assign them back. If I don't assign the document, the message will keep on popping up every time I open the document with a project master data. So I have to be aware of that every time I access a project and I see that message. I need to go into the document assignment window and assign those to the right stage. Now, if I click here, then this is going to be my launch and execution stage for the purchasing assembly task. And I go to documents. I can see that I have all those documents assigned. Some of them can be charged back to the customer. Some of them might not. And you will see that for some of the purchases that I made a purchase that is not only assigned to this, but is more for replenishment of certain quantities in our inventory. So those don't make sense to charge back to the customer. Now, I also been informed that the manufacturing order was already released and is awaiting for some equipment to arrive in order for them to start the process. So if I go to my work orders, I see that I don't have that production order assigned yet. So I have to verify that my right stage / task is selected, and then I hit the work orders section. And from that section, I go into the list and I have to select the right production order. I have two in this case. I know the last one is the right one because they informed me the dates. And when I bring it in, and I will use view fit column width to add the right space in the columns, you see that this is for a server point. Is there, we're going to be manufacturing or assembling 5 servers, and I see that this manufacturing order has been released. There are 0 days overdue. And if I click on this and this icon, I can see all the different details of the manufacturing order right here in my project. So I can see if we already started the project by looking at the issued quantities, and I can see if this has already moved forward. Right now, this hasn't been moving forward, so I can just update and keep on working, waiting for those updates to pop up.
As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a true master series for project management in SAP Business One. Thank you again, Robert, for preparing that content. And we do have a couple of questions from our customers, so I'm going to read them to you, okay?
Sure.
So the first question is the project management module available in the web client?
The answer to that question is currently not available, but we do have an ETA for that. It's going to be around the mid 2026. So it's going to be on the second quarter. I don't know. Actually, that on the first webinars, SAP already informed everyone, because we had representatives from SAP. They're planning on releasing that. Those are actually, that is one of the major asks, right, from the community. We need the project management in the web version. So now, now, but in the first 3 quarters of 2026, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. So for now, you need to use it on the desktop client, and then we'll keep you updated. So we have this newsletter, monthly newsletter. If you're not subscribed, please do so. And that's where we keep you updated of any new release that SAP is doing and what the features packages entail each one. The second question for you, Robert, is can we use the project management features for internal projects without a financial project? For instance, if it's not going to generate bills or revenue?
The answer for that is yes. You can generate a project. You can create a project, internal or external, without linking the financial project. But we have to be mindful of the effect, because if we, for some reason, need to add that in the future, we will be able to. But if we don't, we will not have a P&L or any other report working from the system, because since there is no financial accumulator, it's only to keep track of time and execution of tasks, basically, and issues, obviously.
Okay. But so what you mentioned is that if we don't add it at the beginning, can you add it afterwards, a financial project, if you need to, or you need to add it from the very beginning?
That's another great question. So actually, yes, you can add it, but we have to be aware of that once you add the financial project at any point in time, from there on, you will not be able to remove that financial project from the project management master data window. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Robert. There are no more questions today. We encourage you to register to the part 2 webinar. The link is in the chat. Also, please rate this session. And thank you for being a part of this amazing event and for being a customer. We really appreciate your business. Thank you, Robert, very much. You all have a fantastic day. I'll see you in about a half an hour for the session on the web client analytics. Thank you.
Thank you all.